This is Inside Mside, your favorite podcast for all things Morningside. Hear stories from students, alumni, faculty, and more about what makes the Morningside experience so special.
Hello. Welcome to Inside Mside. I am here with two very special guests. Some would even say campus icons from admissions, who I will let introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Steph Peters. I am the interim vice president for enrollment management. I have been at Morningside for a little over 24 years, and I'm also an alum, 1999 graduate.
Love it.
Excellent. My name is Steven Ricke. I'm an admissions counselor here. I think I'm wrapping up on year number 7 or so. I don't know if I would go with icon, but I appreciate that intro.
I think you both are. And then your job title as well.
Yeah, so I'm an admissions counselor here. Like I said, about 7 years or so.
7 years.
Yep.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes,
absolutely. So, you went to Morningside and you did not.
Correct.
Can you share a bit about your background at Morningside, and then I'll have you share about your background and why you decided to come and work at Morningside?
Sure. Yep.
So I actually, in my college search process, I was looking at the school that Steven chose to attend in addition to Morningside. He'll reveal that surprise in a moment. But a lot of the reason I was looking at Morningside is I wanted to play softball while I was in college, and I was familiar with Morningside because my older sister graduated from here as well. So did the whole visit scene and loved it, and the rest is kind of history. While I was here, I was a major in business and econ, so double major with an emphasis in finance and management. Played softball, was able to do, work while also here, but had a really cool internship experience during my time here too.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And then what drew you to Morningside?
Yeah, so like as you said, I am not an alum from Morningside. I went to Buena Vista University in Storm Lake, just a little bit closer to home for me. But what drew me to Morningside, my now wife, at the time girlfriend, is from here, was working here, had some background working in higher ed. I was working at BV as an assistant track coach. That's kind of what got me to BV in the first place, was competing for track, and just kind of got into the area, and I was initially just looking for a job that got me here. And eventually, after bouncing around a couple other places there, I saw that there was an admissions counselor position open at Morningside. I had known the former track coach at that time, Dave Nash, and I was talking with him a little bit, helping with track from time to time, and it's like, well, I'm pretty familiar with it. I know kind of how he runs his track program, and if it's anything like Morningside, if Morningside is anything like how he runs it, I could see myself being at this place and working at a place like that for sure.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you, Dave Nash.
Yeah, shout out Dave Nash.
What does your typical day in your work life look like?
Yeah, so that's a real loaded question.
I kind of make the joke with higher ed that every day is like a new side quest.
Yes.
There's something different every day.
Yep.
Yes, no monotony really.
Right. Yeah, and like today, I've got 4 visitors on campus that are, so what I do right now, I meet with juniors and underclassmen and seniors from like Missouri and Kansas and Southeast United States, where some of those seniors aren't making it up to campus very often just because of the distance,
right.
So I am meeting with underclassmen from Colorado, Nebraska, anywhere in the United States. But so it's a kind of a mixture, but it's kind of getting them to and from their appointments and kind of showing what we've got and getting them in contact with the professors, the coach, the current students. So kind of setting the table for their senior year so they're a little bit more familiar, then kind of hand them off to their senior counselors and they kind of do the closing job, I guess.
Absolutely.
So, typical day is just kind of depends on the day of the year, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
I was going to say, Steven also facilitates all of our group visits, for the younger, I guess, population. So if we get a request from a high school counselor or a teacher that wants to bring a group of juniors to campus, Steven also helps facilitate those.
Steph, can you kind of tell me more about some of your bigger challenges, but also the rewards of working in enrollment management and admissions? A little bit of a hard hitter, but I think you have a good answer.
Well, I mean, I think obviously the rewards are there, or I wouldn't have been in it for this long. And, I spent the early years in my career recruiting, like the rest of the group. And certainly the benefit in that was the relationships that you formed and the students that you got to meet and the parents. Oh my gosh, love so many parents. I can think back and have fond memories of that as well. And while my role has changed, I mean, much of my reward comes through my team and the people that work for me and with me. I love my crew. I have a really, really good crew, and I would say that holds true across campus. There's just so many incredible people here that are here because they want to make a difference in young people's lives. They want to see them succeed and do cool things, and just knowing that maybe I play a small role in that is kind of how I fill my cup.
How has kind of the landscape of college admissions really changed, would you say, in even the past 5 years, maybe the past 10 years since you've been here for quite a while? I don't know if either of you have good answers.
I mean, I think that we both can attest to the fact that it has changed, and I would say, in a lot of ways it's changed dramatically. When I was first started working here, like, this is pretty old school, but you would call the home phone and hope that somebody picked up. I didn't care at that time if it was mom or dad. I would talk them up a little bit too. And, primarily we would compete with other schools that look like us. So the BVs of the world, for example, and that's drastically different now. I would say that we're competing more so with, in some ways, almost exclusively with state schools, but also non-consumption is a big thing right now. We have a lot of students that are choosing to not go to college right out of high school. So that's hard to compete with as well. Someone who maybe has the mindset that they're not ready for, or they don't need higher ed. That's definitely hard to combat. But more recently, yes, COVID obviously changed the landscape for everybody in this game. And I think now it feels like we've gotten a little bit back to normal. But like, one of the big things was we used to require an ACT or SAT score as part of our acceptance practice, and we no longer do that. And most schools don't. So, we've kind of become test optional in that sense, which I think has us questioning, how do we compare these students to one another across the board as they look at coming to Morningside.
I always tell students when I'm meeting with them, my job is to give you all that information for you to make the best decision for yourself. Whether that's here at Morningside, I want to get every student I talk to at Morningside, but I know that's not realistic, So it's giving them all that information and getting them in contact with a current student or another faculty member that they didn't have while they're here for a visit. Some of those students that live a little bit further away, we're utilizing the video chats or virtual visits, kind of making the world a little bit smaller almost, so that they can kind of come in and hop on and see a professor from 5 states away, So kind of that. And then also, like you said, sometimes students may not think that school is for them, and like, hey, especially, our ag department does a really good job of talking with students that were probably just going to go work on the farm, so it's kind of utilizing that and saying, hey, that's great, but also this education in our ag world will help you different things, new things, and kind of getting them exposed to different experiences that they didn't quite think about, So it's how we can help them and be tactful with getting them in those contacts and financial aid and all that good stuff too. So it's not just what can I do, but what can the whole campus of Morningside do to get this student here and give them that best experience?
Absolutely. What has been something you've come to love about Morningside?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it before and a couple times throughout. It's just kind of that feel, that fit while you're here on campus. And kind of funny, when I first started here, I sent out an email of like, hey, introducing myself, I'm familiar with a couple people, but talked about egg before. Tom Paulson, he actually taught a high school class of mine back in Carroll. And I was just like, oh, okay, I didn't know. Oh, okay. So there was like one connection there, and then like that leads to other connections, and like it just kind of grows from there, and there's plenty of opportunities to just grow socially even. It's not just a job from 8 to 5 and then I'm out, I'm done, It's these connections that you build throughout the whole experience, throughout Sioux City, throughout, everything. So I would just say kind of that network that you're building from an outsider's perspective. I don't feel like an outsider anymore. I've spent more time here than I have as an undergrad student at BV, so I'm kind of crossing that line a little bit, and almost associate more with Morningside than I do with BV right now. Hopefully no Beavers are hearing this and taking me off any list or anything.
No, take him off the list.
Steph, as an alum, what's your favorite Morningside memory? Either from a student or...
Man, there's so many of them. You probably forgot more than you can think.
Yeah, and my memory is not super sharp, but I mean, keep in mind, I have spent more than half my lifetime as a Morningsider, between my time as a student here and then, of course, working here as well. I will tell you, and I don't know, like, again, I love, like, our greatest asset on campus is our people. I just genuinely love the people that I get to work with. And so I don't know that there's any one specific moment, but as a student, my days playing softball were hands down the best experience. Got to hang out with a lot of great people and still friends with a lot of the people that I
That's
play ball
awesome.
with.
That's awesome. From going from a student and now working in higher ed, what is something that you both wish more students or families knew about the college admission process? This is more of like an opinion question.
It's so hard because I think one of the things that we battle the most is the investment piece of this. And I say investment instead of cost because that's really what it is.
100%.
It is scary for a lot of people, especially if they're brand new to this and they really don't know what to expect. But I like to remind students and their parents as well that this is the most important investment that they're ever going to make in themselves. You can go buy a brand new car and spend $60,000 on that and think about what you're getting out of a college education. And gosh, I look back and think, I wanted the degree, of course. I needed that actual diploma at the end of all of this, but the independence I gained and just the growing up that happened while I was in college too was, an unexpected education along the way.
As far as that, like on my side of things as an admissions counselor and like working with families, it's like, hey, our job is to try to make this as less stressful as possible.
Right.
And figuring out where you're going to go for your next 3 to 4 to 5 years of your life and set yourself up professionally and career-wise, that's scary. It's not this is the answer, this is easy, Sometimes it is, but it's, hey, we're here to try to make this as less stressful as possible. So if you do have that question about, hey, how does transcripts and college credits and financially, how does this work? It's a process for sure, and that's what we're here to do, is to try to help you with that. And most parents and families are pretty good with that too. So it's not like man, more people should know about this, but it's just kind of like that's what we're supposed to do, So
and you make a good point about, I think that's the other thing that, if you could let everybody know this, like, you don't have to have it all figured out. From the moment that you feel like your college search is starting, it's enough pressure to think about, okay, how am I going to spend the next 4 years of my life? But on top of that, what do I want to do forever? Most of us don't have that answer. And I think, adding that pressure along with the college search process is a lot. So I think it's okay. Let us share some of that burden. Like Steven said, like, we'll help with the process piece of it so that you can, work on trying to figure out what it is that you want.
Yeah. And even kind of going off of that too, like once they get here, finding your place can be a little tricky too. The transition from high school to college, and like, who do I go to? Where do I go for this and that and everything? And that's even stressful. So even if you know where you're going to college, getting there and getting acclimated to everything, can be a struggle too. Yeah. But again, like, it's getting out of that comfort and talking to the right people. How do you find those right people? That can be tricky, once they're on campus. But again, admissions counselors, we can get you pointed in the right direction, or, get you in contact with the right people on campus or things like that. So it's an ongoing process. It's never just, okay, you're here, then it's on to the next class. It's, you're here, let's make sure that you're successful while you're here as well.
And that's a great way to look at it, especially from an admission standpoint. That's good advice for people, and it's also good for them, to know it's like, we're here to make your life easier. Yeah. We're here to point you in the right direction. That's amazing. I have a few rapid fire questions to kind of wrap us up here. Boy. So think fast, okay? Favorite spot on campus?
I'm going to pick the softball field.
There you go.
I didn't have that luxury. It wasn't on campus while I was here. So.
Right, yeah. Big guy answer here, the cafeteria.
You know what? That's probably one of my favorites. Yeah. I love the caf. Coffee or tea?
I'm a coffee guy.
I'm both.
Pick one.
Coffee in my cup today, right now.
Okay, then coffee today. Are you both morning people or night owls?
Night owl.
Night owl.
Yeah.
Hands down.
This one might be hard, but really, I want a snappy answer.
Okay.
If you could describe Morningside in one word, what would it be?
Family.
People.
And then last question, if you could go back to college, what is one class that you would love to take?
I'm going to say graphic design.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I wish that I would have done anything with graphic design. I also like photography.
Yeah.
But, I'm like the mamarazzi, so I like to take pictures of my kids. I don't know if it would really fit into a photography class here, but...
So I have a coaching minor. I got my minor in coaching there, so I took like a coaching wrestling and coaching baseball, like all those classes. So I kind of took some of those slough-off classes a little bit. No offense to those courses, of course. But if I had to take a different course, do like May term classes count? Because like I know May term here, there's
Not
some that are like experiencing world cuisine or something. You go to different ethnic restaurants. I'd do that or something.
Oh my god, that 100% counts.
Also, why are we not going to like Africa or something?
That's true.
We're doing that?
That's true. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys are both amazing. Morningside is very lucky to have both of you on the team here, and our admissions department is really strong because of you two and your whole team. Like, you guys are just awesome. So I just want to thank you both for sitting down and talking Morningside with me. If you guys want to reach out to our admissions team, you can go to morningside.edu and find all of them and get in touch with them if you're interested in Morningside. Otherwise, I will close this out. Thank you for listening to Inside Mside, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.